All right, so for this first session, we're going to really work the décolleté area above and below the collarbones, the large muscle, the sternocleidomastoid, right underneath the ear, and then along the bottom part of the jaw and the mid jaw for fascia release. This area has a huge influence on pulling the face down. So when you think about kind of the dynamic of the face, you've got the platysma that runs all the way up underneath the cheekbones in many cases. So as a reference, when a surgeon does a lower facelift, a lot of times he will really pull this up and back to achieve a very lifted look, even in the décolleté, because that muscle runs this whole area, and then we'll even pull up this area. The problem is, unless this is really decompressed or released over time, the same pattern of the body will pull this out sooner than if you can really release this on yourself or on your clients. Going in under the jawline, this is another area. All of this pulls down. The forehead and the eyes are really controlled by the scalp, the aponeurosis, and the occipital, and that goes to the back of the neck, and that'll be an area that we work next. So let's go ahead and start. You have your paddle. If you don't, you can use your fingers, but we're going to just start right. Actually, let's just start right in the center of the chest, and we're just going to start pressing. And we're just going to press consistently. And what you may notice is at first it doesn't hurt at all. You might not even notice any sensation and wonder why you're doing this. And then you might start to notice a little bit of difference. This is always something too that if you want to be laying down on a yoga mat, you can lay on this. Typically I just press one hand in and one on. And we're just going to kind of go and now slightly kind of turning and twisting. I don't know where this little thumb mark came from, but it's super funny. It said I sent it. I did it. Now just kind of twist to the left and just look over to the right. And when we exhale, it signals to the body that's no longer in a protective state. So really kind of just think of your breathing. You might even start to feel this in a shoulder. Now we're going to switch over to the right, twisting, and look over to the left. And play around with your head. Just see if you can feel a little bit more. I know that as this has been sitting in the same area, I feel it going deeper. And when you combine the pressure with the breath, the tissue just signals that it's okay, and it kind of lets the pressure in. Now going to the center again, I want you to kind of angle and now push towards. I'm on the right side. I'm just kind of pushing that tissue into the right. And just bring it to the center again. Let's go to the left. What we're doing is we're separating that tissue from the sternum. Now let's just kind of take it, and I want you to kind of twist. It's kind of like it's like a little wobble. Just going to kind of slowly wobble over. And I want you to find an area that's a little bit more sensitive. And when you find that area, I just want you to linger in that space. And you can go very, very slowly, just kind of rocking in that space up. Take a deep breath in. This is the top of the rib cage. We're kind of almost right towards that first rib. And as you're placing pressure with the paddle into this sternum or upper ribs, I want you to expand into that rib cage. I want you to inhale in, expanding that rib cage into the paddle, and then exhale all of that out. You may find the block sinking a little bit deeper. Now I want you to turn the paddle so that this area is kind of right in between that rib and that same area. And we're just going to breathe in and exhale. And this is a great thing to do with your client. So if you have a mask on, or they're even under the LED, and it's kind of just like a dome light, and you're able to work this décolleté, going through these breathing exercises with the paddle on the rib is a great way to generate blood flow. Inhale in and exhale. And it is important that when you inhale, we think, oh, we want to saturate the body with oxygen, and we do, but we really want to focus on the exhale because there's the exchange of the oxygen and the carbon monoxide. And it's really important to carry out the toxins. So when you think about the cells kind of as slightly deflated pink balloons, when we inhale and then we exhale, we're clearing out all the debris in that extracellular matrix, all of the debris between the cells, and we allow that cell to expand more fully. Now kind of do the waddle over to another area that you might feel a little bit of sensitivity. That might be all the way over into the shoulder joint. It's really up to you and your body. And again, we're twisting, and I'm going to kind of twist into that space. And we like to twist because when the tissue sticks together, when the fascia sticks together, or it even goes towards the bone, it's adhered at a force of what Deanna says, over 2,000 pounds per square inch. So it is much easier to twist that tissue to remodel versus try to pull it apart. So now we're just going to breathe into that space, taking a deep breath in and exhaling. Deep breath in and exhaling. And you might actually want to push out towards that shoulder. This attachment here is really great. It's really great on us because as estheticians, we kind of we're over our client all the time. So we really want to wake up this area. Just addressing this area isn't enough, but it is a way to start to resettle the shoulder and the ball and kind of the socket. You know, the shoulder is that ball and socket type joint. It allows us all of this range of emotion. But when we're constantly hunched over with the collapsing of the chest, the shoulders pull forward. So as we start to open this up and we can really open up the shoulders, we begin to reset the kind of the platform. So the holders hang more like the shoulders hang more like a hanger almost that the skin drapes on. So just kind of go in this area and play around. And when you find that spot of, of kind of discomfort, I want you to take a deep breath into that area. And it's crazy how when you concentrate that breath to go into that area, you can really feel it pushing into that paddle. And exhaling. And as you exhale, lift that paddle up and then inhale, take it down and exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Now we're going to take it down a little bit more, doing our little wiggle. And where I'm headed is right to, sometimes it's like a third boob on some people. We're really going right underneath that lat towards that armpit. So we're just kind of wiggling down right into this area. And now we're just going to hold it. So how I have it, I have my hand here and I'm pushing up. If it's easier for you to set it on a table, it's definitely going to be a different experience. It's really up to you, and you can always do it differently. And we'll do it differently on different videos. A lot of these videos we'll be working the same areas in different spots, but we'll be working them different. So I'm really at this meaty part. You can just feel the density. And again, just breathing into that paddle and exhaling. Inhaling. Exhaling. Pressing deep. And now you might just kind of rock back and forth, inhaling forward, inhaling back, inhaling forward, inhaling back. And just take notice if you feel any diverted pain, anything maybe in the upper back, anything just that you'd be surprised. And that kind of shows the tie of where it's all coming together. And when you're ready, we're going to kind of do the wiggle all the way up, right underneath the collarbone. So you can see my collarbone is kind of right there. I'm right placed right at the corner of my shoulder and the collarbone. I'm going to go right into this area. We're decompressing this tissue, and this is a little confusing, especially if you've done lymph work before, because we're really taught to move lymph. We want to go very, very lightly. And while we are over a lot of the lymph ducts, what we're doing is addressing the tissue that the lymph duct lives in. Now, fascia actually also has its own lymphatic system. And so we're going in and we're decompressing in this area to kind of counterbalance all the habits. You know, when we start to think about particular habits we have, the most common one I think we all share is looking at our phone and just looking down and jutting the head forward and looking. We constantly are bracing, and the body has a holding pattern for this now. And this is something that we're really trying to begin to kind of reissue commands. So in order to reinforce that, we have to reinforce that. So when we're looking at the phone, instead of looking down, really holding the phone up and looking at it from that point, or not even trying to read text on your phone anymore and just going to your iPad. If you're in the room, you can have your iPad up and look at it in a large light. And I don't know, but I think it's better for your eyes too, because you're looking at a bigger platform versus focusing in and just staring at a very small screen. So little habits that you can change will go a long way in the long run in the years going. And it's the same, you know, another one I was kind of looking at habits we all do is standing or sitting on one side. You know, and we stand or sit on one side because it's more comfortable. Crossing our legs, which I love to cross my legs. I feel like a lady, but apparently, you know, it just builds up a side of the body, and then we all look wonky as we get older. Um, okay, now kind of play underneath there and push down. We're taking that tissue right on that bone and we're pulling it down and we're holding. I think for our business, being an esthetician, we rely so much on our phones for booking appointments and all of that. So it's definitely something we have to really try to make a conscious mistake or a conscious change. Breathing into that spot. Now we're going to kind of do the wiggle over. And this is a very sensitive area. I was showing this to one of my clients, and all she did was this. I didn't even give her this part, just gave her this part. And she texted me and said she lost almost 4 pounds. Now, she could have been exaggerating, but she was just like, I can't believe it. Because when I showed her, she was like, oh my God, this is so hard. I can't even touch it. It hurts so badly. And you could just see the face was so puffy. And she started to work that was a huge, for her, all of a sudden she did it, she saw the change, and now she wanted to do this particular kind of facial. And so sometimes you could make a video, kind of like what you're watching, and you could send it to a client and say, you know what, I just want you to do this. And there are different ways that you can get your client excited to do something. A lot of people don't want to sign up for an app or a membership or something. So that, you know, hopefully in these videos you start to learn some things that you could share with your clients and be like, hey, you know what? I made this quick video for you. Just watch it on your phone and do this at home. And you know, so that's kind of a nice way if their commitment level is kind of quasi. Okay, so I'm really into somewhere just like, I didn't even think it hurt on this side. Normally it's the other side that. And now just move slowly. And as you move your head, explore with the head of the paddle. All of this is just like investigative work. And that's why it's so incredible to do it on yourself, because As you start to do this, you know more what to do in the treatment room, looking into it. You know kind of how. I know in our video we use this whole side, and that it is nice because you can put your whole body weight down and it's efficient. But on yourself, it's harder to get that kind of efficiency. So the head is a nice way. So now I'm kind of doing the wiggle. I'm over right to the center between the collarbones. And I'm really going to just press into this area. And I want you to breathe. This is right at that first rib. So I really want you to inhale into this space. And then exhale. So try doing like a box breathing. Try inhaling into the space, holding, and then releasing and hold. And this gives the body time to process the oxygen and also to get rid of the carbon monoxide and then also prepare for the next load of oxygen. And this way it's much more utilized efficiently in the body. And that oxygen is like nutrients to the cells. It's everything it needs. Now kind of angle that paddle down. Breathing into that paddle, exhaling out, maybe lifting your chin up a little bit more. Take 2 or 3 more deep breaths in this space. And now we're going to come up with the smaller end. So this is the larger end. We're going to go up with the smaller end flat, and we're going to go right in. So we've got the corner of the clavicle, and we're going to go right in this area. And this is another place where if you're on near a desk or something at a table, you can lean into this. And you might get a lot of different sensations with this because this almost has like a choking feeling, but it's really decompressing. It's releasing a lot of this platysma in this area, right along that bone. So if you want to hold down, kind of pushing on that bone, pulling up, there's a whole different sensation on that. It's kind of like working the eye socket. It's like, fuck, I didn't realize it was so painful. And then slowly just look up. Enough. And when you're ready, kind of wiggle over a tiny bit. Same area, just kind of pushing into that. Now we're into the scalenes. This area, you've got so much going on, but we have an artery that goes all the way up to the face and the hair. And if you combine this, if you are part of the program with the head and scalp, you will notice a difference in the quality of hair. So we go through menopause, the quality of hair changes. But sometimes I wonder, is it all hormonal or is there something to do with just the blood flow and all the restriction? And then we're going to come out a little bit more. And now you can really kind of press. So you've got the trap right here. So I'm right in that specific area, kind of hitting right in there. Breathing deep. You may feel this in the shoulder blade. If you've got shoulder blades that lift up, a lot of times if this is tight in here, it's because this is pulling that and the shoulder blade is lifting. So just kind of going in this area. And again, this is really a lot for estheticians, hairdressers, people at a computer a long time. This is just something that you don't think you need until you place it and you go, I guess I really need it. Really pushing back into that space. Try turning the head. And now kind of wiggle over right towards the base connection in that neck, right where that. So I'm right here where that trap is, kind of right on the side of that neck. So you can see right in there. I'm just placing the long part right in there and just kind of pushing that back. You've got a nerve, the brachial plexus runs down. So if you feel kind of like a little bit painful in your arm, that could be just kind of that nerve. But we're just going in. Turn your head. You've got your sternocleidomastoid, you've got your scalenes, you've got lots of different muscles that form in this neck. And when you're ready, I want to take it right up to the connection underneath the ear, the bulky part of the ear. And now you're just going to kind of lean into it if you can. If you don't, then you want to hold it. But I don't want to strain your whole body. So if you can, just lean into something. This gives you a little bit more stability. And this is a funny muscle, you know. This is something you really want to play around with and find your space and put it somewhere this time. And then the next time you do this video, put it somewhere else close to that and figure out. So in this kind of section we're doing today, you can do this video again and maybe place it somewhere else. You maybe you'll go lower in this area, but it's really up to you to explore where you feel things. The decompression is so important before microcurrent that you'll notice as we do this, there's a hydrating, there is it's the easiest way. There's a point where our own hyaluronic acid or the fluid sitting outside the cells hydrates the cells. So we're really getting a lot of hydration to the tissue and to the cells themselves. Microcurrent works on that hydration. So when we can decompress this tissue, then work that area with microcurrent, we're really maximizing our time currenting, and you don't have to do it as long. And you'll start to realize that, it's really about, I think that this series isn't so much on the lunchtime facelift as it is on getting the health of the tissue and then kind of using these sessions as the health of the tissue, the health of the cell, and the overall lift that occurs over time because of that kind of regeneration and health. Okay, now, because we have taken a lot of bit of time, I'm instead of doing it specifically, I think I'll do next time, one time we'll do a jaw. We're going to go right underneath this jaw, and we're just going to rest in this area. If you did the 21-day program, we are going to be working a lot inside the mouth with our fingers. That's why I'm just excited. This is just going to be a series of stuff you guys can always refer to. And then I'll try to give you hints on how you could try it, but with your client. But a lot of times it's just trial and error. So you just have to try it on a friend and see if you can, you know, get your hands in the mouth or show them how to do it. So you're going to extend your chin up, really press into that bone and area underneath the jaw. And now just slowly kind of try to turn your head, but you're shearing. We're just holding in this space. It's kind of like the tissue migrates towards that chin. So what we're doing, so it's underneath the jaw, underneath here, but stuff pulls forward and it anchors at the point of this chin. So basically while we're here and we're shearing to the ear, we're reprogramming that tissue to remigrate towards the ear versus the chin. This one might be my favorite move today. I can really feel it. I have about 30 more seconds. And if your paddle moves and you're moving, it's moving out towards the jaw, that's okay. That's what it did today. And go ahead and slide off. And let's go ahead and start on the other side. So we're going to place it, we've already done the center. We're going to come out with our paddle flat right in the center of the décolleté. And we're going to push forward. And we'll do the little wiggly wiggly over to the armpit. But right now, just get settled and notice if one side feels tighter than the other side. You know, one side might be a little bit more sensitive, and that's always normal. But what's interesting is um, it'll change because as you unwind and things shift, you almost get a whole new canvas. Play with your head, leaning it down and up, but not jerky movements. Just really draw connection. I think so much is done when we can draw connection and spend time acknowledging that. So it becomes a dance with the block, and that's what's really fun is as you progress in working, you not like it's graceful like ballet, but in a way it's graceful. Like you draw this connection between where the decompression is and the movement and the breath. And this puts our body in a whole different receptive state to change. I think one of the biggest takeaways from doing the release now for a long time, like 4 years, um, it's grown, but it has become like a practice, like a breath practice or a yoga practice. I'm kind of doing the wiggle and just moving that paddle. And this is interesting from an esthetician's point of view. We don't work, we're great at putting lotions on the client's décolleté, but we don't really work that tissue. And so many times, women get these heavy wrinkles and the glycation that we talk about and the cross-linking. And we see, I don't know if the fibrotic tissue could be if someone's had several breast implants or surgeries, but really kind of releasing this area is a big space for tissue health. And we're just kind of wiggling over. Now you kind of take it to the side and press that tissue. You might find that you like pressing the other side. It's such an independent journey. I'm just giving you ideas of things to look at. Breathing into that space. Moving out a little bit more. Finding that area that just screams here. As you do this, we'll find other areas that we can explore. But right now, it's just about seeking the space where the cells are saying, I could use a little assistance. I could use some more space. I could use some attention. And that's, when we say seeking the pain, it's like seeking the silent pain, the pain that hasn't quite come to the surface yet. Because if you can release it, then it won't come to the surface. Because by the time it comes to the surface, there's more to unwind. Now coming right out in more to that armpit and just really pressing into that spot. And this is the right side. And, many times the right side, even though it's not as compacted, if you're right-handed, it gets used a lot. And this is just a nice place to really relax that. Try moving your head and your neck to the side. And when you're ready, let's go up a little bit higher, placing the long side right underneath that clavicle, kind of moving it down. It seems counterintuitive. This one always makes me want to cough, but it's stuff that needs to get out. So just kind of doing like a deep breath and inhaling in and hold and release and hold. You keep searching for that. If you feel like wiggling over or just staying, it's really up to you. As you move your head and you feel the tightness and the skin in the neck, this is a holding space. If you don't release this, it's just going to continue to build bulk down here, restricting lymphatic flow, restricting the carotid artery up to the face. There's no shortcut. And I think that in this industry, the consumer's getting trained on shortcuts. They want to be pretty tomorrow. They want their pigmentation gone now. And with filters, I mean, they're really great because it's the possibility potentially, I guess, but I mean, it's giving people this false sense of self-care, that self-care is just something that we do and say we did it, but not the consistency of doing it. And, you know, I tell my clients all the time, they're like, I don't think I want to do that. I just say you don't have to, but it's not going to go away. Like it doesn't go away just because you've acknowledged it. It's not going to go away just because I did, a lymphatic treatment. All of this is going to come back. The body is going to continue to build because it's a pattern of the cellular communications. It's programmed to protect right now. And when the body's in protection mode, it stays in sympathetic. And it's very hard unless you consciously take the time. So now we're going to move over right into that armpit. And that's just really sensitive. I'd like to think it was an injury of some sort, but I just don't think it is. I think it's just, I really feel it. Inhale in. But the cool thing is, in a way, is if you can, as you do this and continue to do it, and you do this and start making it a practice, it's kind of like those memes you see, disappear for 6 months and then learn a new language or master a new skill. Always, you don't have to shout it to the rooftops what you're doing. just doing this, pretty soon people start to see a difference. And it maybe doesn't even, the notice doesn't come from you. It comes from, it comes from how you carry yourself, how you're standing, how you look. Um, and that's kind of what this can become. And then slowly, maybe the client will be attracted to this. And kind of like take the paddle kind of up, kind of pulling that tissue away. You may even find a new location of pain. Breathe into it. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. When we inhale, we bring all that oxygen to that area. And the exhale is where you feel the paddle going in just a little bit deeper. There's no time limit on decompression. I kind of did a deep dive. So I was talking earlier in a private conversation about the power of decompression on the tissues, especially on fibrotic scar tissue. Um, just basically, fibrotic tissue is a form of scar tissue in a way, but it builds more insidiously. It happens under stress. It happens maybe a treatment done too many times the wrong way. It's the body's way of protecting itself. And so now we're going to come up, right over that collarbone, right in there. I'm going to use the smaller side and the longer side because it fits better. So I kind of doing like a lever. I'm kind of going in and now I'm pulling it down. So I'm really addressing that tissue on that collarbone. Um, so it can become very mask-like, and it feels, and it doesn't shift like normal tissue. It becomes very almost hardened. Um, so I was curious and I started to kind of go down the rabbit hole of it. And it's not like this is just the world according to Deanna and block therapy or, to my opinion. It's really about the decompression does reprogram the cells. And there's probably no less than 20 studies. And I only asked for 3 on specific things on the tissue, in PubMed, and there's another one, JAMS. And it was really interesting because then I asked, what's the minimal amount of time you can do it? And what's the maximum amount of time you can do it without um, like a counter, like could you do it too much that becomes too much, like microcurrent, you want to stay under a certain UA so you aren't triggering a loss of ATP. And in the studies, it showed in many cases they decompressed areas for up to 20 minutes. So, if you are on your abdominal and you have somebody that has had a tummy tuck or severe endometriosis, that's a great place. They can lay on their block on the mattress and it's not going to hurt them. It's really their patients and what they want. So we're just kind of twisting all along this area, going out. And just turn your head and feel how much control that has over your range of motion. Lifting, down, twisting. Breathing into that space and exhaling. I think something that we don't talk about a lot that does need to be addressed, and I used to say to have your dream team. And a dream team is if you needed a hormone doctor that you worked with and agreed with their philosophy, a chiropractor maybe, or an osteopath, um, a nutritionist. Having a dream team it saves you from having to know everything. Now we're going right out to that trap and that bone, and I'm just really pushing into that. In fact, I'm actually going to switch sides of the paddle now, and I'm really going to push into that trap. Because it's health is really, or this is based on the health of the tissues. And so if you have menopausal clients, or you're menopausal, or you have, Ozempic is kind of like I don't know, I'm just kind of winging this when I say this, but Ozempic and the similitude, or however you say all these things, in a way, this is kind of like the new lap band surgery, right? Without the surgery, people aren't getting the nutrients they need because they can't eat. And when they start eating, they still have their habits. So they still could be eating chicken fingers, but now they can only eat two of them instead of six. But there's no nutritional value in fried food. That's just increasing the inflammation. So now we've got a nutrition deprivation along with still inflammation. So you get some of a weight loss, but it's not healthy for the tissues. And so it is good to know somebody that can test blood every now and then and really go into like, oh, you know what? Your cells are old. And there's so many great supplements on the market. I have no affiliation financially with this product, and I'll put it in our video thing, called, it's AURO, and it's glutathione, and it's spray glutathione. So now we're going to come up right underneath that ear. And it's better than a glutathione drip because a glutathione drip is great, but it's only there for that time and maybe a couple hours afterwards. This one is a spray that you use, and glutathione is a master antioxidant. It's needed for so many functions, and it's very difficult to get because it doesn't do well in the digestive tract. So I think, you can start looking at also supplements. Another one I love is urethiomer. Very few people know it, but it clears up all of the kind of dead or lifeless mitochondria in the cell, kind of clears it out, has its own kind of clearing program, and really makes the mitochondria receptive to treatments. So we do a lot that we want the skin to repair, but we also have to look at the state of the cells that they're in. And decompression does do quite a bit, but find like, something that speaks to you for your clients or yourself that says, this is something, that's going to help my cells. You have the vitamin C's, and that's important too, but you have to make sure you have the enzymes to break everything down. Kind of rocking back into this area. Find the space that you want to work today. It's a big area. You can always do this again, but we're just finding and really kind of softening the space. Now do you see how I kind of angle this down? It's like I'm almost getting that corner of the paddle into this area. And if you have the paddle and you work on clients, this is another good thing in that placement. You can place it, but you can also play with that corner because you can really kind of get in there. It's just more of a pivoted pressure. Now I'm just pressing. And what I'm going to do is, again, we're kind of shearing back. So I'm holding right underneath that ear. Now I'm just kind of shearing that tissue back further. This area can cause a lot of tension, headaches. When you think about it too, fascia is just this giant web. So you may feel this at the top of your head. You may feel it in the bridge of the nose. You may feel it, all over. And that's just the little tentacles that it's addressing. And when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and come right underneath that jawline. And placing that paddle all underneath there and just really lay into that spot. So again, you can lay it flat and then kind of take that corner of that paddle right along that bone. And place the display, rock on that paddle. Find the space that just speaks to you today. You can work another place, tomorrow. And any of these movements are good independently. You don't have to start. So if there was a favorite part of this video and you're like, I just want to do this part, you can do that. I'm going to kind of shear that. I'm going to angling the paddle, kind of pushing it down more. And now I'm just going to place my weight into that paddle and turn my head, kind of wanting to take that tissue back to the jawline. With all that looking down at our phone, gravity pulls and then it just latches in that chin area. Got about 30 more seconds. Deep breath in, exhale. Exhale. The mandible is the one bone that reabsorbs and remodels. So this kind of pressure is really great on it. All right, so let's go ahead and get our gel, and we're going to spend about 15 minutes with some microcurrent. And I'm going to put it on my chest as well, my neck, and the jawline. I might have to run to my treatment room and get more. I have to say, and you can buy it through me, I'll get it you, the the back bar if you want it, but um, the Young Goose Hyperbaric gel does not dry out a ton. So I love it because I'm not reapplying gel on someone all the time. Just kind of going back and forth. I have it on program 1, but it really doesn't matter because it's just where you want to work. What we're doing now is we've released all of this area and these cells are just dying for some attention, and this brings to them, it repolarizes cells that are damaged, and it brings energy to the cells, blood flow, more hydration. So I'm really just kind of trying to cover this area, upper rib cage, underneath the collarbone. We're spending 3 minutes on each side. So you got to remember, it's really about the protons and how they are absorbed into the skin. So we've taken a lot of barriers away. So we get not protons, but electrons. Um, so we are able to clear the way for a more successful delivery of the current. Now let's go to the other side. It's kind of coming out. Pushing it out. Think I don't have to, I really have been focusing on not going super high. Um, I'm on like 30, and yet I can still feel the sensation. But that doesn't mean if you don't feel it, it just means your skin just is receiving it differently today. So if you want to go higher, you always can. But I remember when I learned out of the UK, it was never about feeling it. And here in the States, people got into feeling it. They had to feel it to know that it was working. Um, and that's kind of it's tough to rewind that because people want to know. So sometimes what I will do, especially with my machine, is I'll turn it up high at first so they know it's working, and then I turn it back down. So because sometimes they'll go, maybe it's not working. And it's like, no, it is, but you don't, it's not about feeling it. And when you're ready, we're going to do one side of the neck. So I'm going to take it halfway. We're kind of doing the same thing. Sorry, I had to ask my husband to get the, like Stella, my dog's on the bed. And I can hear her up there whimpering. He's right next to the room. He doesn't hear it. So you can see on program one, we really are addressing more of the connective tissue. So the lighter skin, program one on my unit doesn't go down to the muscle. So it's okay to go back and forth. You don't need to worry. And even if you are working the muscle, you can go, you're just addressing the muscle. And the flow just kind of is kind of reprogramming that tissue to move freely and independently. We have another minute and a half. I do like setting the little timer at the 3 minutes because so sometimes you think it's been 3 minutes, but it's only been a minute and a half. And so you do stay in the places a little bit longer than you would when you think you have this internal clock. And kind of incorporate the same breathing, oxygenating those cells. You may even realize, like, over the duration, the current does become stronger because you're starting to feel it more. It's starting to get into those tissues. All right, and get ready to do the other side. And just coming up, down, up, down, up. Taking those deep breaths in, exhaling. Again, we're doing so much. We're engaging in a sodium potassium exchange. We're balancing out the polarity of the cells. So breath is incredibly important just to fuel, but also to eliminate the waste. and down. Got another minute. And you can even time the inhale going up and hold and down. And when you're ready, we're going to go ahead and go along the jawline. So just place a probe right on that jawline. And we're going to go then moving at literally a snail's pace. I almost want to take a whole minute to get to the ear. And go ahead, go back to the beginning. Try to breathe deep. And start from the beginning again, right by the chin. To me, it's crazy the tissue change and even how the probe goes in further. All these little pockets that don't get energy in cells or blood flow to the cells. And when you're ready, go ahead and switch sides. So in the next class, we're going to do mid-face on Thursday. It's 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. And we are going to work a lot of the inner mouth. And then do microcurrent in the mid-face. And going in. And exhale out. And when you're ready, go back towards the chin, loosening that all up. And just holding, inhaling in. And when you're done, just kind of brush down and move anything along that might need to go. Go to the other side. And that is today's treatment.